She once stood in the middle of the village square and laughed in his face. Laughed. Out loud, in front of everyone. "You marry me?" she said. "A man who cannot even afford soap? Please, go and find your level." The whole village heard it. Some people laughed with her, some looked away in shame. He said nothing. He just picked up his worn-out sandals from the ground, dusted them off, and walked away. That was 12 years ago. Today, he walked back into her life, and this time, she was the one on her knees. Before we continue this story, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It really means a lot to us. Now, sit down well. Let us begin. The village of Nuvi Ulo was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, your mother's name, and your grandmother's business. It was a quiet, close village in the heart of the east, where palm trees lined the red, dusty roads, and the sound of grinding stones filled the mornings like music. Ngozi was born into that village like a flame born into a dry harmattan. She was beautiful. Everybody agreed on that. Her skin was smooth and dark like polished mahogany, her eyes sharp and bright, and she moved through the village with her chin always slightly lifted, as if the ground beneath her feet was not quite worthy of her. She was her father's pride. Chief Obiora had 3 daughters, but Ngozi was the one who walked like royalty. From the time she was a small girl, he would take her to village meetings, show her off to guests, and say with a wide, proud smile, "Chief Obiora, this one will marry a big man, a doctor, an engineer, someone with titles. My daughter will not suffer." And Ngozi believed him. She believed it completely. She grew up thinking that love was a transaction, that a husband was a bank account with legs, that poverty was a disease she could avoid by simply choosing the right man. She was not a cruel girl, not in her heart. But her father's words had planted something in her, something proud and sharp, and over the years it had grown roots. Emeka did not come from wealth. His father was a bicycle repairer on the edge of the market. His mother sold groundnuts by the roadside. They had very little, but what they had, they gave with both hands. Emeka was quiet, hard-working, the kind of young man who woke before the sun and slept after it. He swept the compound without being asked. He carried water for the elderly widow 3 houses away. He studied under a kerosene lamp when the electricity went out, which was almost every night. From the time he was 15, Emeka had loved Ngozi from a distance. Not the desperate, clingy kind of love. Just a quiet, steady admiration. The way you admire a beautiful kite in the sky, even knowing it is not yours to hold. He watched her walk to the borehole in the mornings. He watched her sit with her friends under the mango tree in the evenings. And he told himself that one day, if he worked hard enough, if he became something, maybe then he would be worthy. That day came when Emeka was 22. He had saved enough from helping at his uncle's carpentry shop to buy a small plot of land on the edge of the village. Nothing big, nothing fancy, but it was his, something he had earned with his own hands. He went to Ngozi's father first, as tradition required. Chief Obiora received him in the sitting room, looked at him up and down slowly, and said nothing for a long time. "Chief Obiora, you want to marry my daughter?" "Yes, sir. I know I am not yet where I want to be, but I am building. I will take care of her." Chief Obiora was quiet again. Then he called Ngozi inside. That was when it happened. Ngozi walked into the sitting room, saw Emeka, and her whole face changed, not into anger, into amusement. She looked at his worn-out shirt. She looked at his sandals, the left one held together with a strip of rubber and thread. She looked at his hands, rough and calloused from years of work. And she smiled, that particular smile that has no warmth in it at all. Emeka, you came to see my father about me? Yes, I care about you, Ngozi. I have always... You care about me. She let the words hang in the air. Then she turned to her father and laughed. A real laugh. Loud and sharp. Daddy, did you hear this? Bicycle repairer's son wants to marry me. The one who cannot even afford soap wants to come and be my husband. Chief Obiora did not laugh, but he did not stop her either. He looked at the floor. Emeka, I like you as a neighbor, but as a husband? Please, go and find your level first. Come back when you have something. She walked back out. Just like that. Emeka sat in that chair for a moment, the silence pressing down on him like stones. Then he stood up, thanked Chief Obiora quietly, picked up his sandals from the doorstep where he had left them, and walked home. The story spread through the village before sunset. By evening, people were talking about it in the market, under the mango trees, at the borehole. Some people laughed. Some said Ngozi was right, why settle for less? Some shook their heads and said something quiet and knowing. Emeka's mother heard it too. She came to find her son sitting at the back of the house in the dark, staring at nothing. Emeka's mother. They laughed at you. Emeka? Yes, Mama. Emeka's mother. Good. Let the laughter fuel you. A man who has nothing to prove has already given up. You have a reason now. Use it. Emeka looked at his mother for a long time. Then he nodded once. 3 months later, he left Nyuvi Ulo. He told no one except his mother where he was going. He packed a single bag, borrowed enough money for a bus ticket to Lagos, and left before dawn. The village barely noticed he was gone. Ngozi did not notice at all. She was busy. There was a new man in the picture, a civil servant from a neighboring town who drove a blue Toyota and wore ironed shirts. His name was Ikenna. He had a job, a car, and a confident smile. He was everything Emeka was not, or so she thought. Ngozi and Ikenna married 2 years after Emeka left. The wedding was loud and colourful, the biggest in the village that year. Chief Obiora danced until midnight. The asoebi was beautiful, the food was plenty. Ngozi wore a smile that said, I told you I deserved better. But 3 years into the marriage, the Toyota was repossessed. Ikenna had debt that Ngozi knew nothing about. He had been borrowing from cooperative societies, from friends, from his office, to maintain the life he showed the world. The ironed shirts were paid for on credit. The confident smile was a mask over a man who had been drowning quietly for years. By the 4th year, they had lost their rented apartment. By the 5th, Ikenna had moved in with his younger brother and stopped contributing to their children's school fees. He disappeared for days at a time. When he came back, he smelled of cheap alcohol and excuses. By the 7th year, he was simply gone. No letter, no explanation, just gone. Ngozi was left with 2 children, a pile of debt, and a village full of people who remembered the day she had laughed at Emeka. She moved back to her father's compound. Chief Obiora, who had aged considerably in the years since her wedding, received her without a word of, I told you. He simply made room. Ngozi looked for work. She tried everything. She sold akara by the roadside for a while. She stitched clothes for neighbours. She braided hair on weekends. Whatever she could find, she did, and she did it with the same chin she had always carried. Still slightly lifted, still proud, but now the pride was the expensive kind, the kind that costs you everything just to keep it. Her children were 7 and 5. They needed school fees, uniforms, books, food. Every morning, Ngozi woke up and looked at the ceiling and asked God a question she did not know how to finish. It was during one of those mornings that her neighbour Adaeze knocked on the door. Adaeze, Ngozi, have you heard the news? What news? Emeka is coming back to New Ulo. They say he's building a factory, a real factory, Ngozi, ceramic tiles. He has been in Lagos all this time building something massive. People are saying he has over 200 workers. Ngozi stared at her. They say he is coming to commission it himself next month. The governor is coming. Ngozi, can you imagine? Ngozi said nothing for the rest of that conversation. She just stood in her doorway and let the words settle over her like cold water. Emeka, bicycle repairer's son. The man she had laughed at in front of her father. 200 workers. The village changed the moment Emeka's convoy entered the road. 3 black SUVs with tinted windows, moving slowly through the familiar red dust, like ships cutting through still water. People lined the road without planning to. It just happened. Children pointed. Old men stood up from their benches. Women stopped what they were doing. Emeka stepped out of the first car, wearing a simple agbada, cream-coloured and clean, he had filled out over the years. His face was calmer, more settled. He looked like a man who had stopped chasing anything because everything had come. He greeted the elders first. He knelt before the oldest man in the village. He embraced his mother, who had been waiting at the edge of the road, and held her for a long time. Then he turned and found the whole village looking at him. He smiled. The factory commissioning was a true celebration. The governor came as promised. Journalists came. Local government officials in their best clothes came. The factory was enormous, clean, and humming with the sound of machines and employed hands. Every worker wore a uniform with the company name across the chest, and every single one of those workers was from Nuvi Ulo and the surrounding villages. Emeka had not just built a business. He had come home with jobs, with dignity, with opportunity for the very place that had watched him leave with nothing. Ngozi stood at the back of the crowd during the ceremony. She had come because it was the kind of event that the whole village attended. She told herself she was just curious. She told herself it did not mean anything, but her heart was doing something she did not have words for. After the ceremony, she was walking back through the crowd when a voice stopped her. Emeka Ngozi. She turned. He was standing a few feet away, his assistants hovering at a respectful distance. He was looking at her the way you look at something that used to hurt you, directly, calmly, without flinching. She felt the ground tilt slightly beneath her feet. Emeka, congratulations. What you have done today is thank you. Just those 2 words. Quiet. No anger in them. No warmth either. Just the clean, simple acknowledgement of a man who had long ago stopped needing her approval. Ngozi opened her mouth. She closed it. She opened it again. I know what I said to you 12 years ago. I know. Emeka, do you? I was young. I was foolish. My father had filled my head with ideas and I thought I knew what life was. I did not. Emeka said nothing. He waited, and then something happened that Ngozi had sworn to herself would never happen. Not here, not in front of everyone, not after everything she had been through to keep her dignity intact. She started to cry, not the small, polite kind of crying, the real kind, the kind that comes from somewhere deep and old, from all the years of pride and hunger and loneliness and watching her father grow old and her children go to sleep without enough food. I need help, Emeka. My children. Their school fees. I have been selling groundnuts for 3 months. 3 months. Me. I know I have no right to ask you anything. I know what I did. I know. But I am asking. I am begging. She did not get down on her knees, but everything in her voice was already there on the ground. The people nearby had gone very quiet. Emeka looked at her for a long time. He thought of that afternoon in Chief Obiora's sitting room. He thought of his worn sandal with a strip of rubber. He thought of walking home in the dark and sitting behind the house saying nothing while his mother's kerosene lamp burned low. He thought of all the nights in Lagos when he ate bread and ground nut paste for dinner because he was saving every kobo for the business. He thought of his mother standing at the edge of the road that morning, waiting for him in the dust. And then he made a decision. He did not give her money in public. He did not make a scene. He turned to one of his assistants and spoke quietly, and the assistant nodded. Emeka, go and see Mama Chidi at my office tomorrow morning. She will arrange the school fees for your children, both of them, for as long as they need. Ngozi stared at him. Emeka, not for you, for the children. They did nothing wrong. He turned to walk away, then stopped. There is also a vacancy at the factory. Administration. If you want it, it is yours. Honest work, honest pay. But I want you to know something. He turned to face her one final time. I do not do this because you deserve it from me. You do not. I do this because my mother taught me that a man's character is not measured by what people did to him, but by what he chooses to do when he has the power to do differently. You laughed at me, Ngozi. The whole village heard you. But I am not that moment. I am every morning I woke up after it and kept going. He let that settle. Take the job. Take care of your children. Build something that belongs to you. That is all I have to say. He walked away. The crowd parted for him slowly, the way water parts for something certain and moving. Ngozi stood where she was for a long time. Around her, people whispered, some with pity, some with that quiet satisfaction that comes when the world sorts itself out, some with something softer, something that looked almost like hope. Her father's voice came to her then, from years ago, from his sitting room, from a time when she thought she understood what life was. This one will marry a big man, a doctor, an engineer, someone with titles. She thought about that now and understood, finally, what her father had gotten wrong. It was never about the title. It was never about the car or the shirt or the soap. It was about the character inside the man. And she had laughed the right one out of her door with her own hands. Ngozi went to the factory the next morning. She took the job. She worked quietly and seriously, the way she had always worked when pride was not getting in the way. Emeka treated her the way he treated every other employee. Fairly, professionally, without cruelty, without warmth, without any of the old history between them bleeding into the present. He had a life of his own by then, a quiet woman from Lagos who had sat beside him through the early difficult years of the business, a woman who had never once laughed at him. And Nuzi understood that too. Some doors, once closed, are closed forever, but other doors, new ones, unexpected ones, can still be opened. Her children stayed in school. She found her footing. Slowly, month by month, she rebuilt something that was hers, not the loud, decorated life her father had promised her, something smaller, something real, something she had earned. One evening, almost a year after the factory opening, she visited her father. Chief Obiora was old now, moving slowly, his proud shoulders curved with time. She sat beside him in the compound, and they watched the sun go down together over the palm trees. He said, "Chief Obiora, I am sorry, my daughter. I taught you the wrong things." She held his hand. "You taught me what you knew, Daddy. I just had to unlearn it the hard way." They sat in the quiet for a long time. The village of Nuvi Ulo hummed around them. Somewhere in the distance, the sound of the factory carried on the evening air, the sound of machines, the sound of work, the sound of a man who had been laughed at and had answered not with rage, but with purpose. Pride is a strange and expensive thing. It tells you that you are worth more than what is in front of you, and sometimes that is true. But sometimes what is in front of you is a seed, and pride makes you too blind to see it. Emeka was a seed, small, rough, unimpressive on the surface. But inside him was the potential for a forest. Ngozi had the chance to water that seed. She chose to step on it instead. And life, as it always does, showed her exactly what she had thrown away. The lesson is not that poor men become rich and women suffer. That is too simple. The lesson is this: do not confuse a man's current condition with his character. Do not confuse a woman's beauty with her wisdom. Do not let the world's definition of value blind you to what is actually valuable. Emeka did not become a good man because he became rich. He was always a good man. He just needed time and space to prove it. And Ngozi was not a bad woman. She was a young woman who had been taught to look for the wrong things by a father who loved her but had gotten the lesson wrong. The real wealth was never in the Toyota. The real wealth was never in the iron shirts. It was in the man who swept the compound without being asked. The man who carried water for the old widow. The man who picked up his sandals quietly and walked home with dignity after being humiliated in front of the world. That man, that quiet, steady, unbreakable man, that was the big man Chief Obiora had prayed for all along. He just did not know it yet. Thank you for watching. Now tell us, if you were Ngozi, what would you have done differently? And if you were Emeka, would you have helped her at all or walked away completely? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story touched you, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. It really means the world to us. See you in the next one.